Hi, welcome to InquisitiveMinds. In today's video, let's talk about AI automation with n8n. As part of our agenda today, let's talk about what is AI automation, what are workflows, how are they different, and also see a demo of a n8n UI editor and also the canvas that we will use for creating the workflows. And one of the major components of n8n workflows are nodes. So let us try to understand what these are for the AI automation with n8n. So let's get started. So what is AI automation? AI automation is use of artificial intelligence to streamline and execute tasks and processes and workflows automatically. And we use AI automation when there is a need for repetitive tasks and there is a predefined set of processes or tasks or operations that can be well defined in advance. Prevention. Nowadays, every business is trying to adapt to AI automation and speed up their operations. So, what is a workflow? A workflow is a predefined sequence of steps or activities needed to complete a task or a process from a start to finish. Now, this shows how the flow, the sequence of work happens. Like what happens first, what happens next, and what steps have to be taken from going from point A to point B. The simple terms a workflow is a structured path that ensures tasks are completed consistently, efficiently in the correct order. So when you launch an n8n instance, either using your Docker container or the cloud version, this is how the UI interface looks like. So this is the canvas where we create our workflows. And then in n8n, the concept of nodes is very important because these nodes acts as a building blocks in creating the workflows. So if you have to define what a node is a building block, and it every node represents certain kind of functionality with respect to any kind of application or action or a sequence or any kind of logic. When these kind of nodes are put together, that is what we call as workflow. And when we execute it, that becomes your automation. So in an item, there are four different types of nodes: the action nodes, sometimes there are also app nodes, application nodes, trigger nodes, core nodes, and cluster nodes. So the app nodes or application nodes deal with different kinds of application. Suppose we are trying to create an workflow with Gmail, then we need to connect to Gmail. So that time we would need an app node with respect to the Gmail. And there are different kind of actions associated with each of the applications. So sometimes they're also called as action nodes and also as app nodes. So every workflow should need a trigger, right? How do you start this workflow? So for that, there are trigger nodes. This can be manual, this can be automatic. And every application, every sequence can have a different kind of a trigger. So they're all represented as part of the trigger nodes. Core nodes is where, as the name suggests, is the core functionality that will be used as part of the workflow. And the cluster nodes are nothing but a group of nodes combined together to achieve a functionality. It's a kind of a subflow. This is a little advanced topic we will see in the upcoming AI automations. So now let's quickly get into the UI editor and then see how the editor looks like to get a look and feel of the UI editor of n8n. So let's see how the n8n instance, the user interface of n8n looks like once you launch the n8n instance, whether it is the on cloud or on a self-hosted one. So the overviews of n8n gives you the bird's view of what is happening with respect to all your n8n workflow automations. There is a tab for workflows, credentials if you have already authenticated with different kinds of apps. And then if you have created any kind of workflows, the execution status, the variables and data tables, all this information can be seen here. And then it also shows you analytics of the statistics with respect to the number of executions, the failures and the time and stuff like that. On this left hand side, you see this expandable and collapsed panel where you can have the predefined templates which can be directly used to execute workflows. So the insights section will give you the analytics with respect to your workflows. The help is as usual, the help center. And what's new will provide information about the latest features available as per the new releases of n8n. And if you see this plus symbol here, this is where this is how you can start creating your workflow or create a credential. So the most commonly used one is workflow creation. So let's see how the workflow window looks like. So when you first create the workflow, this is how the interface looks like. Now you see this dotted gray area. This is called as canvas, and in this canvas is where we create our workflows or automations, whatever we call them. And this is the folder where the workflows are getting saved, and this is the workflow name, which you can just double click to change the name, change the name, and you can also add tags so that you can categorize them with respect to the use cases or any scenarios that you would want to. And there is also a small description tab there. And this is the editor as you see. And then for this editor, for the workflow that is being created, if you are like not trying to run for multiple times, those executions can be seen from this execution tab. And evaluation is like, the performance of your workflow. So this is a bit advanced topic, so we'll just keep it aside for a while. And if you see the top panel, we have seen on the right side, you have this active or inactive workflow. So once you create your workflow, you can activate and deactivate using this toggle key. You'll be able to share this depending on your kind of plan that you have with the n8n. Obviously, there is a save button once you save the workflow, and then you can also see the version history if you have created and modified your workflow over a period of time. So that version history is also available. And in the bottom, what you see is this zoom in, zoom out options, and of course, there is also option to clean up your workspace if you're working with a lot of nodes and then you have messed up your workspace. Okay, and the most important ones are on to this right panel where this plus button here is will open up the node panel. So we have just understood, right? In n8n, the workflows are created with help of nodes. And by connecting different kinds of nodes, we actually create the logic and the workflow and the automation, right? So those nodes can be searched here. So you can just search for any kind of node that you would want, it will show up. Okay, so depending on your sequence or what use case, you can pick up those nodes. And this is the place where you start your flow. Just by clicking here, you it will again go back to the node because every workflow starts with a node. So this is how you can start your adding your nodes to the workflow. And this is also a command bar which will help you to type the node that you would want and add it to the workspace. This is a nice feature where you'll be able to write something. If you want to provide, like just like in programming, you have these comments, right? So if you want to describe your workflow so that when you come back at a later point or you're sharing this workflow with someone, if you want to write some notes, you can use this note. For now, I'm just deleting. Okay, and this is the panel that will help you to open the parameters and for the each of the nodes that you actually create during the workflow. Okay, so let's quickly see if we just add the node, how does it look like? So generally any workflow starts with a trigger because there should be an event, there should be a trigger, there should be a starting point for a workflow to start, right? So a very simplistic case starts with a manual trigger. This is how, and then you can move this node all over the canvas because generally when you build workflows, it could be like a lot of steps involved, and then there could be a lot of nodes. There could be some logic associated with it. So you can move across this move across this nodes across this canvas. So if you hover over to this node, you see there is like this small button which will an execute. Once you execute, right, the node turns into the screen and then you see the stick mark. That means the node has successfully executed. Though we haven't done anything here, but this is how it looks like. If you want to deactivate this node, you have this option here. If you want to delete, there is a delete option. Okay, so this is how you actually pull in different nodes and then create your workflow. So this is about the canvas, and let us start building the workflows to get more familiar and with NAI. So let's quickly summarize like what we have learned. We understood that what is AI automation and how the user interface of an n8n looks like, and what are nodes, and then how do they look, and what are the different kinds of nodes that are available. Okay, to quickly summarize, this is important for us to understand the difference between workflow and an automation. So, as we have already seen, a workflow is a sequence of steps that describe how a task or a process should flow from beginning to the end. And it is a way you describe what should happen first, what next, and what is last, and how the information or data should flow across those steps. And automation is a way of executing the steps automatically without any manual effort. And then here where we use a lot of rules, tools, and stuff like that. Of course, AI also that is why we are calling this AI automation. So in simple terms, a workflow is a plan which has a steps and structure, and automation is something that is happening in real time. That is like action that is getting executed automatically uh, at a specific interval and without any manual intervention until unless we would want to incorporate such kind of actions. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.